Right, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we present the annual Holland on the Hill Heineken Award to Merck. Dutch people are pretty direct, so there is no cliffhanger here. Merck is the winner of the Heineken Award. And I'm sure we'll learn more about Merck later on, but I should mention that Merck is, of course, a global biopharmaceutical company on the forefront of research, development, and innovation to deliver health solutions for people and animals. And I welcome Mr. Rick DeLuca and the other people representing Merck today. Great to have you here. We honor with the Heineken Award the leadership of a company that has made a substantial and positive contribution to the US-Dutch economic relations. So they actually combine the best of two worlds. And the recipient is an innovative industry leader who combines entrepreneurial drive with a transatlantic focus. This is our 9th Heineken Award, and we are delighted to be back here at the Library of Congress, where we have in the past 2 years had the celebration at other locations. Glad to be back here today in this very nice room. David, thank you very much for your story. I'm never tired of hearing the sales techniques from Heineken. And it's also good to hear that you see that beer brings people together, because we also think that diplomacy brings people together. So we have a lot of common in that respect. We are looking forward later to have to hear from Congressman Deutsch the closure of the meeting. And I would like to thank you all for joining us today at the ceremony. Maybe before we move on, I should say something about Ukraine and the ongoing war there. I mean, Russia's invasion of Ukraine has caused a geopolitical shift, as you all know, a crisis, which is unprecedented. We're still struggling with the consequences. I would like to express my solidarity with the brave people of Ukraine, with the men, the women, the children who are victims of the unprecedented Russian aggression. We fully support the Ukrainian people. We do that by supplying arms to the Ukrainian army. We do that by, of course, following the sanctions that we take in the EU framework, and also by welcoming refugees coming from Ukraine, mainly women and children. It's also good to know that when it comes to Ukraine and the broader issue of security and war, it highlights actually the great importance of our transatlantic relationship, our transatlantic reliance, which is built on shared values, values of freedom, of democracy, and also of a robust economy and a transatlantic trade relationship. Just to give you some figures, the United States is the top foreign investor in the Netherlands, and we are consistently ranked in the top 5 of investors here in the United States. And our companies support more or less 850,000 jobs in the United States in a broad range of areas, from agriculture and water to manufacturing to life science and health to pharmaceuticals as well, but also for instance, in the cyber domain. So a broad range of the creative industries, I should mention as well, just to give you some examples of where we work together. And I think it's very important to strengthen this alliance. I'm very glad to note that we are gradually coming out of the pandemic. That means that we can organize these kinds of events again. It also means that from the embassy perspective, we have received more and more visitors. We have a new cabinet in the Netherlands since January this year, and that means that our Minister for Education, for Foreign Affairs, for Foreign Trade and Development Cooperation have all visited the United States recently. A large delegation of our parliament has been here, and it's also good to mention that our king and our queen will visit both Texas and California in the beginning of September. So this all shows not only that we're getting out of the pandemic, but it also shows that we have very strong ties with the United States. I've also been lucky enough to do more visits in this beautiful country. Last week I was in Michigan, not only West Michigan, where we have many people from Dutch descent, but also in Lansing, in Detroit, where we had an automobile delegation visiting. And it was good to be out again. And it's really appreciated that we have this contact again. Like David mentioned, beer brings people together, and we should use that opportunity. All right, we have come today, as I mentioned already in my first sentence, together to honor the biopharmaceutical company Merck, to recognize Mr. Rick DeLuca for your role in the company, and specifically also when it comes to Merck Animal Health, into the industrial leader as it is today. And Rick, on a side note, I should mention, and some of the visitors to my residence know that I have a dog and 2 cats. So veterinary health is very close to my heart. And my dog Baloo, who is a chocolate lab, actually belongs to the welcoming delegation when we have visitors at the residence. He normally falls asleep after 2 minutes in the first speech, but he's very much appreciated by the guests, and he has also his own Instagram account. So I just would like to mention this, not only to say that veterinary health is close to my heart, but also that the work you are doing actually is a matter of international diplomatic importance. Well, Merck is known outside the US and Canada as MSD. You use the power of the leading edge science to save and improve life around the world. We'll see later more about it. For more than 130 years, the company has developed important medicines and vaccines, and you've delivered innovative health solutions that advance the prevention and treatment of diseases in people and animals. And your presence in the Netherlands, your contributions to the Dutch life science and health innovation ecosystem in particular are very, very important. Now, companies in life science and health in the sector find a welcoming home in the Netherlands. We are renowned for connecting communities, for our strategic location, obviously for opportunities that we provide when it comes to public-private partnership, for also a lot of leading knowledge institutions that we have available in the Netherlands, in Leiden, but also in many other parts of our country, and also the presence, obviously, of key regulating bodies like the European Medicine Agency in Amsterdam. And just to give you one more example, KPMG ranked us #1 when it comes to on their growth promise indicator. So that's important. We go back a long way when it comes to life science and health. I would just like to mention the invention of the microscope in the 17th century to today, where we are pioneering, for instance, in oncology. A long-standing record, not only in the Netherlands, but also abroad. I just mentioned that I visited Michigan. I also visited there the Van Andel Institute, or Van Andel Institute, as you say here. Dutch people with Dutch ancestors who created in Grand Rapids their institution. The Van Andel Institute does a lot of research and development when it comes to oncology. They have the finest art, the finest technology, state of the art. And the interesting thing is that it's not only the institute in Grand Rapids, but they have gradually developed what they call the medical mile in Grand Rapids. So they have a school, and they have more companies that were attracted by the institute, and they have more research institutes. So gradually, their presence in Grand Rapids has expanded to this medical mile, and I think it's also a good example of what, in this case, the Dutch ancestors of the current CEO Van Andel have achieved when it comes to bringing their knowledge abroad. Then something about Merck in the Netherlands, very brief, again, because you will say more about it. You're a very substantial company in our country, more than 5,000 employees, state-of-the-art research, the administrative part and the manufacturing presence is very strong around in my country. You have facilities in Boxmeer, Haarlem and De Bilt, centers of research development, of production, of very important medicines and vaccines as well. You have played a very important role as well in combating the coronavirus, the pandemic, and you've produced the oral antiviral COVID-19 medicine in the Netherlands. Dutch people might know, and of course the people from Merck as well, that You recently spun off Organon, which is a global healthcare company dedicated to women's heart, a company with a long track record in the Netherlands as well, and a great brand still. And in doing so, you have revived both the name and the legacy of a widely recognized Dutch institution in the field of health science, of health and life science. So these are just a few examples that I would like to share with you of Merck's activities in the Netherlands. As I mentioned earlier, Mr. DeLuca will share more. I would just like to mention one more final thing. You are really a fine example of the success and the importance of our economic ties, the economic ties between the United States and the Netherlands. And through these shared values, these shared American and Dutch values of entrepreneurship, of collaboration, the company makes a meaningful difference in the lives of many around the world and is innovating when it comes to solutions of the challenges that we are facing tomorrow. So thank you very much. I think we are going to watch a video now, and then we'll hand over the award. Thanks again.